Now let's look how we can fare against a full luchador. Complete maxed luchador standing over there just chilling in my corrosion, okay? So this is how it looks like. 2 clips and we basically already killed half the luchador just based off the corrosion damage entirely. A 3rd stack. Look how he's ticking down, how fast! This is insane, man! But this is the only place where this actually works because it's no freaking shields in between. And this guy, he's got a Titan that is basically relying on his resistance and reflector, but this is what we bypass completely. What's up, friends? This is Manni, and in this video I want to show you the only time in which a maximum corrosion build actually worked to a certain point, with 6 times maxed tricksters on the Dagon, and specifically between the 9.7 update that buffed corrosion to have an unlimited amount of stacks that you can apply, and between the 9.8 that is already announced that will nerf the living heck out of these tricksters to be completely worthless, basically. Minus 80% fire rate, and so therefore also minus 80% applying corrosion stacks, plus corrosion will only last for 5 seconds instead of 15 seconds that it was before, right? So 9.7 came in. Tricksters are gonna be amazing for a few weeks, and then 9.8 is gonna be completely making them useless. So, what I did here is use that tiny time span in which the corrosion actually was amazing here on these tricksters to apply an unlimited amount of corrosion stacks rapidly with these crazy tricksters. And we're gonna find out how good could corrosion be in its absolute peak level performance that was only allowed to be existent for a very short time. So you see us applying corrosion that you could never apply before. This is the maximum corrosion applying speed. And look at this. This one clip basically kills that entire Seraph there, or at least dropping it down to last stand, because it ticks him down so quickly, right? And unless he's phase shifting, that corrosion is gonna stick with him for 15 seconds, long enough to drop that entire robot. However, a lot of people are running phase shift, and it is also like shields and everything. This is the biggest disaster, and the reason why even at the perfect and maximum peak performance, this setup really didn't work. Why? Everybody is running shields. I mean, every second robot has yellow shields, and that means we don't do no damage against them. Because these weapons, although they apply an insane amount of corrosion stacks, they do like 0 damage altogether. Like the direct fire damage from the weapon itself is like 0. So even with 6 fully maxed tricksters, I can't even drop a Typhon shield. Therefore, I cannot apply any corrosion to the Typhon robot. Because I just can't get through the shield unless I'm running shield break. But yeah, it's a problem, and since there's so many freaking shields around, this setup doesn't work against like 60% of the setups on the battlefield. Against the ones that do work, like this Lynx, for example, for a short second he didn't have a battleship shield, or no shield. Of course, I just look at him, pop, comes an extra yellow shield on top. Yeah, but it's still funny, because you apply basically guaranteed death to a lot of enemies, and you can just walk away and they're going to die unless they phase shift. Here, this is me doing the same thing against a Newton Titan, and I'm just gonna actually fire back at him, but as soon as there's another yellow shield from a battleship, I have to abort my attack, because I'm no longer gonna be able to break through that shield, right? Again, yellow shield, yellow shield, yellow shield, yellow shield, despite every enemy has them. So this is really the reason why the entire corrosion thing just doesn't work, at least if you're running it full corrosion tricksters. That's why obviously you're not going to do that. This is very obvious thing. You're normally not running 6 tricksters. You run maybe 3 tricksters and 3 tamers. The tamers will be having a high direct amount of damage output, breaking through the shields, and then you can apply the damage and the corrosion to the enemy. So that is how you would typically make it, or maybe even 4 tamers and only 2 tricksters, right? If you want to really focus on the corrosion, maybe you try 4 tricksters and only 2 tamers, but the less tamers or the less damage output you actually bring, that is not corrosion based but just pure damage output, the less chances you have to break through the shield. Now let's look how we can fare against a full luchador. Complete maxed luchador standing over there just chilling in my corrosion, okay? So this is how it looks like. 2 clips, and we basically already killed half the luchador just based off the corrosion damage entirely. A 3rd stack. Look how he's ticking down, how fast! This is insane, man! But this is the only place where this actually works, because it's no freaking shields in between. And this guy, he's got a Titan that is basically relying on his resistance and reflector. But this is what we bypass completely by the use of corrosion. And now there is a yellow shield, of course. It was just a matter of time until a random yellow shield pops up, because literally everybody has it now. And I had to wait a little bit. And then I fire at the next target, it's an Ophion, it triggers a purple shield, and that is even worse than the yellow shield. And I actually died from corrosion here too. But we were able to deal 9.7 million damage. However, this was something a lot bad. I used Titan gameplay also a lot. You just didn't see it here. See, there's a Lynx. And he doesn't have a lot of shield. He just has the stake shields. Those shields right there was only the stake shields from his Harpoon weapons. So that's 50,000 shields. I have no chance of ever breaking through that. Never, ever would I get through this. Unless I shield break, I would be standing in front of it, wie Schwein vom Uhrwerk, how we say it in Germany, which is like, translated, is like the pig standing in front of a clockwork contraption trying to understand it. I would be 0 chance, no way. Here we have a nether, however, without a shield, and we can apply corrosion. So I thought it was a really interesting video, because this is a very short time span in which we were able to record an actually effective corrosion applying setup that applies unlimited stacks, and that very quickly, right? So that was very unique. And the 9.8 update is gonna hit any moment now, and that whole thing will disappear. So yeah, there go bye-bye. And the thing is, I don't even understand why it disappears, because clearly you can see this corrosion isn't really working all this well. I mean, yeah, you can argue that we are running it not mixed with damage, but look, I'm firing at a Curie right there, and he's got 0 shields. Okay, he's got the phase shift now. That phase shift ruins it completely for me, but we're applying a lot of corrosion to him, and even though we're doing that, it's not really like he's going down very quickly from it. It's more the damage output from my team. Here's another Curie, okay? And he's not going to phase shift, I think. So he just got more HP into his robot. We're unloading the second clip, and after that, his turret mode ends, so he's losing the HP bonus he got, and I keep adding more corrosion. Look at this. He's down to like, he's basically killed already. If he doesn't get more HP in with his turrets, he would already die from the corrosion I did. But unfortunately, he does have the ability to warp in additional health. And I'm gonna just ignore that angler because he's got physical shields. Another problem. Physical shields are also impossible for me to break through. I just can't do it, right? So as soon as something has physical shields, I think he made, yeah, okay, at least he died from it. Physical shields, I do 0 damage, so I will never break through the physical shields. This is something you must understand. The weapons do pretty much nothing in terms of damage as a direct hit. It's 95% of the damage coming is simply the corrosion effect on the robot. That's why yellow shields, physical shields, whatever it is, anything with shields that I can't bypass is basically the end of this setup. They could just kill me. I could not fight back. But look what it looks like when we fire at someone at long range. 600 meters still, right? The range is going to be nerfed with the 9.8 update too. 500 meters. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the 500 meters is already so much range, right? Many weapons have 300. So 500 meters is actually a lot of range. So I think it's okay that it loses some of its range here. However, 80% fire rate nerf from... what was it? From... I don't know, but it was an 80% fire rate nerf that will come with 9.8. That is just completely overkill. It makes these weapons basically apply no more corrosion, and then on top of that, counting in that corrosion only lasts for 1/3 of the duration now. So why would I ever want to upgrade a corrosion build like this, right? So Pixonic, maybe it's very important for you to understand that your game is built on, you know, I'm trying to understand something you obviously know, but I'm just trying to emphasize that. This game is built around a whole sandbox of customization and possibilities, right? So everybody gathers equipment over the years and has all that available to try it out, right? And just slap it on a robot and see how it works with this, see how it works with this, and experiment, and like a huge sandbox of possible things you can try. And this is kind of what Warbots lives from, if you ask me. And however, that needs that everything that you could possibly think of and try is at least to a certain point effective and working, right? Nothing should be completely useless. Because if it's completely useless, even as much as you would like to experiment around with it, if it doesn't work at all, you know, you're obviously dropping the matter immediately. I just basically killed that Ophion in one salvo. He's dead now. One salvo with my corrosion, and he got completely killed. He just died from it. It was a death sentence because he had no phase shift. So that is fun when the corrosion can do these kind of things. In this case, maybe even a little too fast, maybe a little too fast, right? But what the 9.8 update will bring is basically not just a little too much nerf, it basically makes these weapons worthless. So the whole experimentation, the motivation behind, you know, experiment and trying around things, it's going to fall away. It's going to go away. So this guy lost his shield, so I can start applying some damage to him. I'm gonna phase shift soon when he fires. There we go. I'm gonna reinforce my shield once he fires. And look how much damage we're doing with the corrosion against him, actually. As long as there's no yellow shield popping in between, we can really inflict a heavy amount of corrosion damage. Look how he's ticking. Tack, tack, tack. You can see the tack, the ticks. It is actually really fun to watch it. And this is the idea behind corrosion. It is not a setup that will like let you carry the match and destroy everything instantly. It's more like it goes into the same category as Vortex, Thermite, Aphid, Bulava, and Kisten, right? These weapons that are just trollish. It's just trolling. You kill the enemy in a different style, in a very different way, where he's like, he just watches himself die when he got hit by enough corrosion. But here, if I don't go inside the Mars shield or so, I will never actually break through it. So there are obvious disadvantages that make the setup completely worthless in many situations. And that already now at its best peaks performance. Somebody else dropped the shield, so finally I can actually apply some corrosion to him. You see, I could not have done that if my teammate hadn't dropped his Aegis shield. So yeah, it's terribly useless in so many situations, and yet somehow Pixonic thinks it needs to be nerfed. And this is where I don't really understand. At least not if it's nerfed as much as it is going to be nerfed, right? It just seems odd to me. If they apply 80% less corrosion because the fire rate is nerfed by 80%, why not let the duration of the corrosion stand how it is? And I think 80% is already completely ridiculous. I mean, you could go and make it 50%. You fire 50% less corrosion charge, but the duration stays the same, right? This way, the corrosion would at least in theory still work. Maybe in turn you could raise even the direct damage to a little bit so that you can actually break through a shield sometimes. I don't know. Balancing is a very delicate matter. I understand it's a very difficult thing to do, and I think, yes, many of you often say, hey Manni, you should be involved in the process. You know what? I think I would make many mistakes as well. I think so, because sometimes I believe it's very hard to predict how difficult or how powerful something will be later on the live server once all the bonuses are activated. So I think I would make many mistakes as well, but I believe I would be willing to fix them very quickly. And obviously, from a player perspective, my motivation is not based on making sales and balancing it for that reason, you know. That makes a lot of difference. But yeah, let me know what you think. This was a rare moment, the maximum performance you could ever get, and you saw 6.6 million damage. That's all we were able to achieve with the best performing corrosion build ever in the game. And it's unfortunately something you're not going to see after 9.8, because it's going to be dead. Unless Pixonic listens to our feedback and changes things. But yeah, so thanks for watching. Catch you around. Manni signing off. Bye-bye.